If box office analysts are correct, then Warner Brothers has 65 million reasons to smile about Wonder Woman's opening weekend. I'm Sasha Pearl Raver, and this is Screen Junkies News. According to The Hollywood Reporter, early box office tracking shows that Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman, opening on June 2nd, is currently on track to earn nearly $65 million in its first weekend. While Wonder Woman first made her on-screen debut in last year's Batman v Superman, this will be her first solo outing. And according to my calculations, 65 million buys a whole lot of Lasso. So how do these numbers stack up against other solo outings from superheroes? Well, with me to discuss are Matt Key and Mary Risk. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Good morning. 65 million is no joke. So, Matt, let's talk numbers.
Let's talk
How does this
numbers.
stack up against other superheroes?
Well, I think the main thing to remember is that like Captain America and Thor both made exactly that, like more or less exactly like that, give or take a couple 100,000. So in terms of like first origin movies, like for superheroes and stuff like that, especially Captain America First Avenger being a World War II film and Wonder Woman being a World War I film, this stacks up exactly in line with that. Avengers opened at 200 million. Makes sense for that film because that had Iron Man, Hulk. You know, it had like 3 or 4 years of buildup to get to that number. Star Wars had all that anticipation. That's why it got 225, I want to say, 250 million opening weekend, something like that. And that's just domestic. So I think Wonder Woman, it's right in line. I want it to be more because I want that film to do really well. But it's in line. It's a good estimate.
Right now, and again, these are estimates. Like, we won't know until actual opening weekend, but where are they seeing the interest coming from? Like, who does it seem like really wants to go see this movie?
As far as we can tell in the research that we did, the Hollywood Reporter is saying it's tracking highest among males 25 and older. So men are excited to go see Wonder Woman kick some booty.
That's shocking to me because I feel like this is such a great movie for women. Like, I was talking with Danielle Radford and she's like, my mom wants to see it. My mom wants to see it. Like, these are not superhero going people. And because of that interest, Mary, do you think there's a chance that this could actually be like an underestimate for the performance?
I really do. And actually there are multiple sources. The Wrap went with their independent analyst sources and found that they could be between 100 to 115 million opening weekend. And again, you know, if you're seeing so much interest from that group of males, I feel like there's a large interest from females that maybe isn't being calculated right now. That really could make a shift in that. And if it does get to that 100 million, then you're looking at it beating like other major superhero films. Like Doctor Strange did 85, I think. Winter Soldier was 95. And I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy, the first Guardians of the Galaxy film was only 94. So if it goes over those movies, I think you're really at a great peak for the launch of the franchise.
Yeah, and then like Man of Steel was at I have it written down 116 million. So
that's not fair because that's like, that was a Superman movie. We already had so much anticipation going into it. Like Wonder Woman, I remember because there was still a TV show around when I was a kid. But really, for most people, Wonder Woman's appearance in BVS was the first time they'd seen her. So the fact that it is men 25 and older, I'm like, you got that Linda Carter love, don't you? You got some of that Linda Carter you're looking for in this one. Come on.
And hopefully, like with both Dawn of Justice and Suicide Squad, there ended up being kind of like negative word of mouth that happened on Friday and Saturday, which started impacting those numbers throughout the course of the weekend. And so far, like some of the people who have seen it have said, it's a really good movie. It's fun.
People I know who have seen it say it's the best thing that the DCEU has put out. So how can this be a win-win? Like, where do we see, obviously, $65 million is always going to be good. If it goes beyond that, it's still great.
Even
better.
But this is something that Warner Brothers and the DCEU really need right now. Matt, can you explain a little bit as to why?
Well, so right now, like King Arthur is tracking to not do as well. And like Guardians of the Galaxy making 500 million, I think it just crossed 500 million worldwide today. So Guardians of the Galaxy still being in theaters and just killing everything right now is not looking good for Legend of the Sword, King Arthur. And it's tracking, I think, at 25 million, but it cost 175 million. And as we all know, that's not the full cost. Like, that's not the full negative cost.
It doesn't involve marketing. It doesn't, there's so much. And like, let's just go off of this panel. I live for Charlie Hunnam. And
Yeah.
I have no interest in seeing King Arthur.
I have
none. Like, I could have
absolutely
seen
no
it last
interest.
night, and I was like, Dodger game. Oh, hello. Thank you, Jonathan. Hi, Jax.
Hello.
Woo. Yeah. Woo. All right.
He
Good
does have pretty
morning.
eyes. He does have some very pretty eyes.
I adore, Jude Law post the young Pope. I'm
Yes.
so on board with that. And I enjoy the Sherlock movies. I love, going back to like, Guy Ritchie's got a great career. Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, fantastic. Snatch,
Fabulous.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't care about that movie.
I don't
just
care, and I
can't
think most other
care
audiences don't care, and I think it's going to get trounced at the box office again, especially with
Yeah.
Guardians out there. So Warner Brothers is looking; they're going to need a bigger hit following this.
Yeah.
On top of if this movie performs under 65 million. Then the DC EU is in some pretty tremendous trouble, because they've already got Dawn of Justice was one of the biggest disappointments from last year, according to a lot of critics, as was Suicide Squad. So if Wonder Woman doesn't hit, then that's gonna really be devastating for the DCEU. So there's a lot pivoting on this, other than proving that women direct, you can have a great woman director, and that you should continue to give them as many chances as possible, the same way that we do white males. So
On the flip side of that, though, if all these numbers do end up being accurate and it is going to go over 65 million, then you're looking at a great breakthrough both for the DCEU and for female superheroes in general.
Yeah,
and
big time.
I do think there's going to be a lot of interest in this movie that maybe hasn't been recorded yet.
I tremendously hope so.
And it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
The trailers of it so far have definitely got me excited. It
Yeah.
seems like they're taking the character in a really great direction. The fact that it's tracking really well with males, that's great news in the
That's
sense that
humongous.
yeah,
news.
she's a universal hero and not just a female hero. But it really could do a lot for female heroes trying to get their own movies in the future.
Big time. And I do think the DCEU isn't going anywhere.
No.
They have so much set up. There are still so many films that are going to go forward. But when you have Disney blowing up everything with Guardians, with Beauty and the Beast, Universal has already had a huge hit with Fast and Furious. And now they've got other films that are they're poised to make a lot more going into the summer. Get Out, which was a $4.5 million movie that ended up making over $200 million. They're set. They're good. Warner Brothers, I feel like they know how to make money. And I think that this movie is going to perform, I would like to say, over 75. I would like to say that it does over 75 and beats the expectations that we're setting here. And again, like we were saying, this is speculation. There's a lot that could still happen. Now,
and these are all initial. This is just initial speculation.
Yeah.
It could go up or down in the next few weeks because she still has a month before.
Right.
June
she
2nd's
hits
a long
theaters.
way off. But as we're saying, there is still so much that the DCEU is setting up. There are still so many different opportunities. And to that end, we have a tiny speculative spoiler alert. So we're going to throw this up. If you don't want anything spoiled for you, click away, come back in a minute. But again, there might not be a spoiler alert here. This is a potential spoiler alert because we don't have confirmation on this yet. But actor Saeed Tagmawi?
I believe so.
Saeed Tagmawi?
Saeed Tagmawi.
Saeed Tagmawi posted a photo on his Twitter account with the phrase "coming soon." And for those who don't know what this is, I'm going to throw this to our resident nerd, Matt Key.
Well, I will admit that my Blackhawks knowledge is a bit lacking, but I did get excited when I saw that. The Blackhawks are a team of typically 7 ace pilots, and they're typically from all these different countries. So it's a very multi-ethnic team. They created in the 40s, and they're World War II ace pilots that have continued to exist in the DC universe up until now. They've turned them into mercenaries, kind of like the A-Team, but of the sky, sort of. But that was in the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. But in the 40s, they were basically the top-selling comic book outside of Superman and Batman, was the Blackhawk Squadron.
Interesting.
So this photo of Saeed Tagmawi means that he's playing whom?
So the picture that he's standing next, the comic book hero there is Andre, I believe Dumont. I want to say I'm probably wrong, but it's no. So Saeed is playing a character named Samir. But the picture that he's that's right there is of Andre Dumont, and he, I don't think was ever a leader of the team, but he was kind of like the womanizers, and like his womanizing ways oftentimes got the team in trouble because it'd be like, oh, it's another femme fatale. Thank you so much, Andre. So
That's
I
amazing.
don't know if that's the direction they're going to go with it, but we've also seen in the trailer that Chris Pine is playing Steve Trevor, who's a pilot. We know that Steve Trevor was a pilot in World War II as well. So it's entirely possible that Saeed's character Samir is kind of playing a version of this Andre guy, and that Steve Trevor is maybe the leader of the Black Hawk Squadron.
So are we possibly getting set up for a spin-off of the Blackhawks, and is that something you would want to see, Mary?
I mean, yes. Honestly, I think it'd be really fun.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of period pieces being superhero movies, and I think there's a lot that you can do there that you aren't doing with the modern stuff right now.
Yeah. And I mean, it would be kind of the equivalent of like Fast and Furious. Like they're not
Listening.
superheroes, but the way they drive their cars is super heroic. So I think it would be a similar situation where they could possibly set up a franchise of like Black Hawk Squadron is a Fast and Furious of the skies. So
Wait, but Fast and Furious is Fast and Furious of the skies. Don't you remember when they all jumped out of the plane?
yeah, but they weren't flying their
true.
cars. Their
It's
cars
true.
were dropping. Now,
It's true.
if in Fast and Furious 9, which I am already titling The Fine and the Furious,
Oh.
Into it.
if in that they find a way to attach wings to their cars and then fly their cars, then maybe I'll back off the Black Hawk Squadron franchise as the Fast and Furious of the skies.
I don't know. I think this sounds fantastic. I love what you're saying too about it being a period piece. So we go World War I, we've got Wonder Woman, we break off to World War II for the Black Hawk Squadron, and then we just keep going. But we can only keep going if people keep going to see the movies.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
true.
really do think they're going to. I think people are going to show up in droves. I think Wonder Woman's going to perform very well. And here's the other thing we have to remember. It's not just first weekend. It's about drop off. So like I said about Get Out. Get Out is a genre movie. Typically genre movies drop between 50 and 60% in the second weekend. Get Out dropped like 20%,
Yeah.
which is basically unheard of. If Wonder Woman can drop less than 50% going into the second weekend, you have a bona fide hit on your hands. And we asked you guys what you think, how big you think Wonder Woman's box office opening weekend will be. So let's check in with Matt, who is doing double duty, panel
Yeah.
and social.
Panel social.
What are people saying? What are they expecting?
Well, the very first one I have here is from Sebastian J. Hughes at Sebs Hughes, who says 116 million tying Man of Steel. Though I think it could go bigger with positive reviews. Bad DC films do well, so a good one should be huge. And I do think that he actually raises a good point there, is that it's entirely possible that Wonder Woman is tracking a little bit lower than she typically would because Dawn of Justice and Suicide Squad did so poorly, like at least in terms of like reception.
Yeah. Right.
They were great for the box office, but everyone left going like, all right, I guess. So it's entirely possible that she is inheriting some of that sort of like bad karma, maybe. Let's see. We've also got Delisha Russell
Our girl.
saying, I'm not good at this. Between 100 and 125 million. Great word of mouth will definitely be a huge factor, though. It seems to be kind of like a running theme.
Yeah, and reviews, I mean, the only thing we're hearing is just like rumblings amongst industry folk who have seen early screenings. And once reviews do start coming out, it can really ramp up interest. So this 65 could turn into 80 very quickly, 80
Very
could turn
easily.
into 90, 90 could turn into
Well, and that's
whatever.
exactly what happened with Deadpool, because like if you like Deadpool's like estimates were between 65 to 75 million, and then it went on to make 200 million, something like 195 million opening weekend domestic, and make 900 million worldwide like by the end of its run. So but the estimates there were like 65 to 70.
Yeah.
You know.
But I like this too. I have to say, I appreciate that right now people are lowballing because I want her to beat expectations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's keep talking about like,
100%.
oh, it'll be 60. It'll be 65. Maybe if we're lucky. Maybe 55.
Yeah.
So that when she comes in and just smashes everything, we can be like, look at what that just went and happened. Who would have guessed
So
it?
let's start the rumor. She's going to do 15 million. She's going to open to 15 million.
15 million.
Only 15.
Only 15.
Yeah, total.
Conservative estimate, but we think we're right.
But we just want to, why set up expectations when you just assume she's going to fail?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why?
That's
Why
how I
even
live my
bother?
life.
Sure.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to click into this part of the video and be like,
Yeah, this is the only part they watch. They're like, they're notorious for just watching the last 45 seconds of every video.
Well, we do want to know what you think, but maybe spread the rumor in the comments and on Twitter. Maybe say she's going to underperform. Maybe say 50, 45, 30.
Let's 37 million. 37 million.
Let's make this like an auction, but just keep driving it down so that when June 2nd or June 4th comes around,
and she's done 100.
we can see what Wonder Woman can do. But in the meantime, definitely comment below. Tell us what you think she's going to do in the opening weekend. Of course, also be sure to tune in this Friday. Live at 4 p.m., we've got Flickbait, a new show here on Screen Junkies News where the honest trailer writers will be sounding off on all the week's movie news. Honestly. Thanks for watching. Please click here for more internets. You can tweet us at SJ News. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you very soon.